Welcome back to Texas Rangers with the Boys. We are the Boys, your daily Texas Ranger podcast by a couple of pro wrestlers who love Rangers baseball. And hey, we want to thank you for making us the first listen of your day. This is your boy Kev, aka YBK, Kevin Frazier. You know, your Texas Rangers, the world champion, defending world champion Texas Rangers, still hanging out in first place in that American League West. If you want to talk to me about it on social media, you can find me at Kevin Lee Frazier. That is Frazier. You can also find Texas Rangers with the Boys on social media, TX Rangers, WTB. You know, you can also find us on the World Wide Web at TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
No, one word.
Also on TikTok, Texas Rangers with the Boys.
Oh, one word.
And joining me, my co-host, the man who flew solo yesterday and did it with class, maybe a little sass, but he took it home for you guys.
Oh, well.
300-pound manimal, a.k.a. Bull. How you doing today, buddy? Where can they find you?
I tried to rush through it as much as I could because, I think there were like 4 times where I tried to go to box scores when I still had injury reports and stuff like that to do. Like I was like, and into this box. Oh, wait. Yeah, like it was. And then I also had the same Kevin problem that we had the first time. I forgot there was the second box when you log out, right? So I hit the button to go into the finish, and then when it was over, it just came right back to me. So I hope that's on there on the on the show and everything. It was like after you get the credits of a movie and it pops back and there's something going on, but there really wasn't. It was just me hitting the button again. But it wasn't overall. It wasn't too bad last night. I thought I gave a little bit of justice to the weekend series and all of that stuff. But we can talk about that a little bit more this show. Day off, so I don't know what to do really with myself on these days. I try to watch other teams play baseball. I just don't care. I watched the Yankee game earlier, and at least 5 pitches into the game, it gave me something to talk about tonight. Gave us something to talk about on the show. But before we get into all that, Twitter, Bull or X, Manimal Bull, Instagram, Manimal 300, and both Facebook and TikTok, Bull Pro, so whatever your favorite platform of the social medias are. Get on there with me and we'll start talking about these Rangers or Major League Baseball or really anything in general. I don't have anything that's too off limits, but overall, social media, it's what drives everything anymore, right? I mean, that's like what we get up and we focus on, and we all have our phones in our hands looking at them all the time. So you got some questions, throw them on over at me, and I imagine my phone is in my hand when you send it to me. So anyway, we'll get started with the show, but before we do that, I have to remind everybody that Friday, May 24th at the Southside Preservation Hall, Matt War Pro Wrestling is going to be back with a brand new show, Slam and Destroy 2. It's always a fun time over at the Southside Preservation Hall because they've always got the community involved, because Big Dog's Hot Dogs and Kelly's Onion Burgers are going to be out back whipping up hamburgers and hot dogs. You got Starry's Ice Cream and a bunch of other vendors inside. We talk about Starry's Ice Cream because that's just the absolute best ice cream in DFW. So come on out Friday, May 24th for a big show at the Southside Preservation Hall with Matt War Pro. Slam and Destroy 2. It's going to have a bunch of big wrestling matches, and we're going to have the community out there in full force over there on the Southside Historic District.
Oh man, we've got to talk about baseball without box scores. You know what's crazy though? We did it all off season.
Oh yeah.
I have a feeling today we'll be able to do it. The initial conversation we're going to have, I think it actually relates to the Rangers a little bit too, because we felt a little bit of the pain as well. Some umpire, some very strange, yet again, umpire drama going on in the Bronx, I guess. Was it in?
Yeah, it was a wild afternoon game. Random Monday afternoon game between the A's and the Yankees. A fan from behind Aaron Boone yells some obscenities, I guess, towards the umpire. The umpire takes it as Aaron Boone says that, and then throws Aaron Boone out of the game, and then doubles down on it after the game. Won't just admit that he made a mistake. It becomes Aaron Boone's dugout where he's blaming it on people in the dugout whenever it was a fan. I mean, you could see it when you were watching the game. I mean, it was the fan yelled it. I mean, and then Wendelstedt after the game doubling down on what he did, even though he made a mistake and he had an opportunity to win everybody's hearts in sports by being an umpire that can just say that I messed up. He could have he could have won the hearts of everyone and said, I screwed up. My emotions got the best of me. I thought it was Boone. I was quick to snap the judgment. He could have said all of those things and people would have been like, oh, Hunter Wendelstedt, he made a mistake. Oh, man, it could have been the bigger guy there. But again, his ego won't let him. And that's been the case with umpires. I mean, for the last several years, and not probably always. I mean, gosh, remember, think about back in the day, strike zones used to be awful. They didn't have to answer for anything. They still don't, as long as their balls that they call right and wrong are close enough. That's all it really has to be as an umpire. But, it's not the balls and strikes, and it's not making bad calls here and there. It's the arrogance afterwards that hey, we screwed up. But we're not going to tell you we screwed up. You don't get to hear that from us. You don't we can screw up as much as we want. It doesn't matter because, we have an umpires union. That's why it doesn't matter. We can go out here and be subpar almost every night of the week, but it's okay because we have a union. That's why it's okay. I mean, come on, man. That's dude, people that work for unions and sewage and stuff like that, that doesn't mean they get to come up and not do their work, not do the job right, not do there's still punishment. If you're working for a pipe company and you put burst pipes into the ground, there's going to be punishment for that. You may not get fired, but you're going to get punished for it in a union. All that just proves is that they use that as a power instead of a reason to self govern themselves.
Yeah. To kind of second to what you're saying and just the arrogant factor, I think, we saw with the, remember the Jonah Heim play early in the season, which was just absolutely awful by the umpire. And one of the, I've been watching baseball, and again, not obviously over the last couple of years, more than I ever have, but I've never seen an umpire miss a foul ball like that. It happened. They screwed up. It screwed the Rangers up. Rangers ended up Jonah Heim ended up getting his in the end, and yay for him. But the next day when the guy came out and was like, "I'll still stand behind what I said," I'm like, dude, how do you go back and watch that? How do you watch that and expect to have any credibility from here going forward? The strike calls against Wyatt Langford that, we know that Angel Hernandez has no accountability whatsoever. But, and so to hear this again, I just think if you ask me, we've had social media for a while, it's been, I think Facebook was 2007. So we're not just getting social media. So it's not this is, oh, well, we're just getting social media now, so that's why it's bringing more attention to the umpire. No, Stop saying that. That's not it.
No, they've been.
Umpires
I mean,
are-
like,
The umpires are significantly worse than they have been.
well,
in
and
the
what's
last 2 years.
crazy
It has
is
nothing to do with we're seeing them now more. No, man. None of these calls, sorry to keep going. I'll just finish and then pass it off. None of these calls have anything to do with scorecards. Nothing.
well, and that's the thing. I mean, in a time and place where umpires are better than they've ever been before, like we can't say they're better than they've ever been before because there's zero accountability for when they don't do things well, when they don't do things right, whenever, I mean, like, look, I get it. You miss strike calls. There's probably balls, I mean, that they look at it and think, you know what, I should have called that one a strike or whatever the case may be. But like the idea is that like the doubling down and the like, I did this the way I was brought up doing it and I'm never going to change it regardless of how much the game is passing me by for it. And I think that's like the big issue that I mean, look, every casual fan in baseball wants to see balls and strikes called by a robot. They want, I mean, like that's where it's gotten to the point of, and now I personally don't want to see that because then you're talking about like balls that are just barely touching the strike zone and move, into the dirt from afterwards are still getting called straight. Like, I mean, there's a human element to calling balls and strikes as well as as there is that robot taking the human element out of it. But at the same time, I mean, you've got to be good enough to where people aren't watching games going like, oh, they got to take the human element out of this.
Yeah,
and that's like the thing.
We know how sports are. The minute you turn the robot umpire into a thing, the players and the game is going to find every single little angle that they can find to rig that thing and jack that thing up and make it work to their favor. It's going to happen. We know it. But the umpires aren't helping themselves at all in pushing this back and avoiding this, what might be an eventuality because of stuff like this. This is the opportunity. I mean, honestly, this is kind of what we want. If we want the human element, it has to feel human. There has to be a sense of like, hey, yeah, I am human. I messed up. NFL, like, God bless them, like they screw stuff up and they don't change scores, but they at least will come back and say, hey, we got that call wrong. And they will make a point to try to fix it. Baseball still feels and I think the NBA does even a really good job too, with trying to get this right. It's never going to be perfect, but it feels like baseball is stuck in the Stone Ages with it.
Well, and it's like in a day and age where we have the technology to tell us what the expected batting average is on a baseball that's hit into the wind in Detroit.
Right.
But we don't have the technology to, check a ball or a strike that's borderline.
Like, hold on. Let me start. I didn't want to interrupt, but I'm going to probably forget. So we have graphics on the screen that will literally contradict an umpire like that. Like, why doesn't an umpire have a little device where he can check it? Like, boom.
Well, I think that would be something that I would be interested in is like that be like the case and each team gets, maybe one an inning, one, where they can check to see if that was a ball or a strike and the umpire can say, because they've been pretty good about getting most of the challenges right and wrong. I mean, there's a handful of times where you see it and you're like, but a lot of times, I mean, we don't have all the views that they have. And we also don't have, we don't have what they're seeing in New York some of the times and, split screens and all of that stuff. So whatever, they haven't had that big of an issue with that outside of the fact that I don't think they have the ability to replay enough. I think that's one of the limitations is they don't have enough things to do. Like whenever that foul ball happens to Jonah Heim there, and he should be able to go to replay and say, hey, that was a foul ball. let's get it back in here in the count.
Well, why? Like, okay, so all right, so maybe you give coaches like I don't think one an inning would fly. I don't think they would go for that. But like two a game where it could be like on major calls where they could use for like balls and strikes and then they can challenge other calls. But the other thing is the umpires should be able to go back and review a call. Like they should have the sovereignty to like go back and review a call. Just like in the NFL, when you have a scoring play in 2 minutes, like it's not a challenge. It's not up to anybody. Like
Well, every scoring play is reviewed.
yeah,
So,
so like
man, I think that's like one of those things. I mean, if you have a scoring play that is reviewed and you're looking at it and it's the Jonah Heim play from opening day there, and you see that it's a foul ball, okay, it's a foul ball. Everybody get back where they are and let's do it again.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's that big a deal to have everything right. Like it's
No,
not
not when you're
like, I mean, I'm not like, and like at this point, I'm not even really trying to take all of the human element out of baseball and umpires and all of that stuff, because
no.
we saw a couple of plays over the weekend that I think Bochy probably could have reviewed and gotten the call overturned, but he had one happen where he tried it early in the game, lost his review early in the game, didn't have it later on to go to, and that ended up being something that I think, hey, this play is close. I probably could get it overturned, but I don't know that I could and it's the first inning. What if I need this later in the game in a more important situation? So, I mean, I think they could do more. I think they could give the ability out to challenge more. And, but at the same time, I mean, getting things right isn't the end of the world. Like if you have a game where everything is called absolutely correct, that's not the end of the world.
That's a great thing. I mean, that makes that take in a way, though you influence some of the elements of the game. It makes the game more pure, which again, like we want to see teams win because they won, not because of a messed up call by the ump. So
yeah, and it almost feels like almost every night you have.
Well, yeah, and that's why I don't think it's social media anymore, dude. Like, I don't think we have social media now.
And again, that's not to say that there aren't going to be mistakes made, but I feel like there's crucial mistakes being made that could be overturned and that could really change the game of baseball for the better.
And are we talking? We're not even talking about scorecards.
No.
We're talking about scorecards which have come out, and we've seen some ugly scorecards.
And that's one of the luxuries of social media that for the last 2-3 years now, I mean, every one of these scorecards, they break them down with the balls and strikes. And I mean, look, we all know that Angel Hernandez can be bad, but I saw his scorecard from yesterday and it was a plus scorecard. So he can be good too. It just, it feels like the bad overwhelms that good, right? Like there's no like that good, no matter how good it is, it's like it's never going to be like the 3 bad that he just had in one plate appearance from Wyatt Langford.
Right, they'll be talking about it all year. Well, let's talk Rangers, man. Rangers have a lot of cool things kind of upcoming. Do we want to talk about
well, they're coming home, first of all.
They're coming home. And then there's been let's talk about the moves first. There's been some moves taking place.
They had last week, I think Jonathan Hernandez was probably ready to come off of the IL last week, but that wasn't really the need that they had. They needed some depth in that bullpen. Urena was kind of taxed last week, most of the week, just based on throwing a 40-plus pitch inning or pitch outing early in the week. So whenever Jack Leiter was sent back down, instead of going with Jonathan Hernandez, who didn't offer them near the length, like if they got into a situation where they needed a long man, they decided to go with Owen White. They never really got to a position where they needed Owen White because they were in most of those ball games all the way through it. But you could see where Owen White could be needed if Atlanta comes out and drops a 9 spot in the first inning on a starter, which is, I mean, how they tried to start every game. I mean, they had bases loaded, nobody out, and dang near every one of those games over the weekend. So it was I mean, like I could see why Owen White was needed. Now they've got a day off. The bullpen has kind of gotten some rest. Urena should be good in that long relief space. So you send Owen White back down. You call up Jonathan Hernandez, who's one of those electric arms that you've got coming out of in a one inning situation, to take hopefully some of the pressure off of Kirby Yates and David Robertson to have to get three innings of work out of those two guys every night until you're back in a spot where you trust Leclerc to get those late inning outs for you. So yeah, that's kind of where Jonathan Hernandez, I don't know that that's where he's going to stick right in, but he'll get an opportunity to throw some for this thing. And if he's productive back there and he's throwing 95, 97 and getting 14, 16 inches of run on that two-seamer, you're going to see him be productive. And then hopefully he can stay up. He can be as productive as he was late in the season last year before he had that injury that killed basically the playoffs for him last year.
Yeah, and I think Jonathan Hernandez has probably the most upside, like of any bullpen arm the Rangers have.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's been times where he's been just absolutely brilliant. I mean, yeah, like, so you're just kind of hoping that comes back around, and he's got that stuff and the stuff plus. I mean, we've always talked about that. I mean, we knew they were going to count on him a whole lot last year, and man, it really didn't go that way for him at all. He's out of options, so this is kind of that moment where he's got to like do what Spores did last year and really solidify himself in that bullpen this year, because he's out of those options, and if he doesn't make the team out of spring training next year, they got to put him through waivers, and that's the kind of arm that doesn't come back off of waivers.
Yeah, but I also think there's a lot of kind of dire circumstances. It feels like in some ways with Hernandez, but I also think like this could also be it. Like this could be the turning point for him too. Like
well,
this
yeah,
could be the moment where he comes in, does a great job. Recap, because we've seen him be great. I mean, at the major league level, not just at the. So he could come back, recapture that form that we know he has. And I mean, help really kind of be like you said, Spores was last year, be that extra arm that the Rangers really needed in the bullpen, and really make what's already turned out to be a really improved bullpen year over year. Turn it to, could we say, to a strength?
Well, I mean, like, hopefully, if you had like power arms, like you're talking, Robertson, Yates, Spores, Leclerc, Jonathan Hernandez. I mean, that's 5 power arms right there that hopefully you're counting on to get guys out. But that's that solidification that you need in the back end of a bullpen, and then hopefully, those guys are all healthy and all doing it at the same time. And I mean, that's a good back end of the bullpen, but they got to be healthy. They got to be performing. And that's been one of the biggest things with a couple of them, is they just haven't performed at the level that you've needed for the whole time. Because there's been times where all of them have done it.
Yeah.
Now it's just, getting them all on that same Kirby Yates, David Robertson path right now, and see if we can't take some of the pressure off of those guys where they're not having to try and get divvy up 9 outs every night.
Yeah, I can resonate with that. Well, the Rangers also are going to be getting another arm back. It looks like sooner than expected. It's probably been kind of the talk of the team, but we would be well served to talk about it on the show here. So Max Scherzer, he's how do we say,
tomorrow
way ahead of where anybody expected him to be up to this point.
Yeah, man, it looks like he's going to go out on a bull. I mean, he's going to throw a rehab tomorrow. Both Round Rock and Frisco are at home, so I'm not exactly sure where he'll end up, but Wednesday he's going to throw a rehab that'll probably put him in a position to take 6 days off and come back and throw one more next Tuesday, and then kind of see where he's at from there. And, you could see him back as early as maybe like the weekend of May, like 4th in Kansas City, like that, the
Yeah.
3rd to the 5th in Kansas City, something like that. I mean, if not, maybe out in Oakland that next week. They've got a doubleheader, an actual built-in scheduled doubleheader on Wednesday of next week. I mean, he may be the guy to come back to get that one for him. I have no idea. I don't know where but I don't think they're in any hurry, especially now that he's 2 months ahead of schedule. They're
Right.
definitely not in any hurry, but a couple of rehabs, that may be all it takes for him, and he may be ready, and he may be somewhere around 75 to 80 pitches by that time.
Pretty wild, isn't it?
A little wild, yeah. I mean, a little bit.
Well, with Scherzer coming back, I mean that's about as exciting as it gets. Because honestly, I think
Well, we should be a handful of days now away from Cody Bradford being back. Right. Remember, he took the DL just because he couldn't make that start, and they needed that roster spot for that 17 and 17.
Yeah, and it seems like a big picture strategy. And with Max Scherzer, like honestly, like even if he was 100% healthy, whatever his workload's going to be from where he comes back to the end of the season is kind of like the workload you really wanted from him anyway. You kind of don't want 30 plus starts from him during the regular season if you're going to be making a playoff run. He's an older guy. Same thing with the Eovaldi. Like you're going to need with the pitchers that the Rangers have, and if you're going to make a playoff run, you're going to need 7 solid starters. I mean, especially with the young guys that they have. So having Bradford coming back when he's coming back and Scherzer coming back when he's coming back, it feels like it feels very like appropriate. It seems like it's a good thing that this is the workload that Scherzer is going to be getting anyway. I think the question that comes to mind, and I'm sure I'm not the only one wondering, is like what does the rotation look like? When Max Scherzer, and really when Cody Bradford, because Bradford will probably be back before Scherzer.
Yeah, I mean, it should be Bradford should make a start this weekend against Cincinnati.
Right. So what is the rotation? Healthy. What is it going to look like when those two guys get back, or really like how's the rotation going to shape out? And before I turn it over to you too, we kind of already hashed out that John Gray's not going nowhere. He just had a little bull. He was going to do a bullpen.
Well, for sure, as of now, for sure that Gray. I mean, until we find out what's going on with Bradford, Heaney and Gray are maybe the first 2 candidates in that situation, and maybe Dunning. I'm not sure exactly where they're at with that. They may try and run with 6 starters for a little while to maybe get Eovaldi some extra rest here and there. I don't know. I don't know what the plan is going to be, but Bradford may go back to the bullpen and be the guy that they're counting on. But he's been throwing so well that I can't imagine that would be the first thing that they do. So, yeah, there's lots of options. I mean, what we do know is that when Scherzer's ready to be in the rotation, he's going to be in the rotation. That's just part of it with a guy like Scherzer. I mean, he's brought here to be a part of the rotation. He's going to be in the rotation. Who does that leave on the outside? Who are the guys that leaves on the outside? I know the Rangers are struggling right now with left-handed bullpen help. So does that leave Bradford and Heaney as the guys that kind of get moved to the bullpen because of the need for left-handers in the bullpen? But then you don't have anybody in the rotation that's a left-handed guy. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of what ifs that are going to happen, but these are good what ifs, not bad what ifs. I mean, having extra rotation help is not a bad thing. I mean, John Gray pitched extremely well out of the bullpen the other night. His stuff plays really well for the bullpen. I mean, he's 96 with the 92-mile-an-hour slider. You know, he plays well for the bullpen there. And, you know, Bradford, he's been good out of the rotation. Is he going to push someone else out of that rotation?
Yeah. No, I mean, what's wild is, like, as much as I love John Gray in the rotation, I mean, man, like, if you can get another guy in your bullpen that can lock things down, that's tough to pass up. That's tough to pass up if you've got kind of the depth in starting pitching that the Rangers do. Honestly, that's what Bochy's here for. That's what Bochy's here for. But man, it's like, it looks like if the Rangers can hold out for really maybe another month and really, like, play some really good ball, but, you know, stay kind of where they've been at, which I consider really good. They're gonna be loaded with starting pitching. I think the real question we have right now is what's going on with the offense. I know we didn't talk about this off air, but, you know, there is a little bit of a situation. I don't know if we want to call it a major situation, but, you know, they were in the top everything in offense going into the last week and a half. And then over the last week and a half, they've just kind of just steadily been sliding, especially in the power numbers. They had a few breakout games here and there over the last couple of weeks, but nothing like what we're used to seeing from them. Honestly, right now, I'm perfectly fine chalking it up to fatigue until they get into a normal stretch of the season where they, like, have normal days off and they're playing normal baseball and not 17 games straight. I'm perfectly fine chalking a lot of this stuff up to fatigue. But once we get through a few series with a few days off over the next couple of weeks, if we see this thing persist, then it might be something Rangers need to take a look at.
I don't know. I don't have anybody that in the lineup that I'm terribly worried about right now. I guess Seager's kind of been struggling a little bit, but it's really his power numbers are down. Evan Carter, he's still hitting probably right around the Mendoza line, but I'm not extremely worried about him. I mean, you know, Tavares, I'm still kind of waiting on him to come into some luck on some of those balls that he's hitting hard right at the moment. So yeah, no, there isn't a ton of him in Langford. I think the power is going to come in. He's had productive at bats. He's looked confident in his at bats. He doesn't look like he's pressing or anything like that. I think the worst thing that the Rangers can do is send him down. So yeah, no, I'm not too terribly worried about things. They just got low back in the last week. Josh Smith has produced at third base, so first base has been one of those positions where they've been lacking this first half of the season. Getting low is going to come back. Getting low back is going to help that. Yeah, no, just overall, I'm not too worried about the lineup. I think they're on the verge of busting out, and they could bust out at any time. I mean, right now they're kind of being carried by Garcia, and that won't be the case all season, and there'll be other guys that'll help them as well. So overall, no, not too terribly worried about what's happening with the offense. I think that the offense is going to come around, and we're going to see plenty of runs. And we've already, I mean, the Rangers are right up there with the league leaders in every offensive statistic.
No, they're not. That's the big concern, is that they were, and over the last week and a half plus, they've really taken a dive. But again, I'm willing to chalk it up to the they're below the top 10. Like they were sitting right in the, like, top 4, top 5 probably a week and a half ago, and they've just really made a nose.
In the American League or in the league overall?
Both. Like I was trying to be optimistic. I was trying to be optimistic in the American League, and that was making me feel better. But then they started dropping in the American League too. So again, I'm willing to chalk it up
No,
to.
I'm not too concerned about it at all.
But willing to chalk it up to willing to chalk it up to a little bit of fatigue for the team, but it's also something that has been kind of a thing. Well, here, while you're checking stats, I'm going to go ahead and tell everybody about our exclusive content down on the farm with the boys. We cover all things Rangers minor league. We unfortunately, because of me, we did not get to drop a show this week. I was a little under the weather, but we will get another episode out to you guys. Yeah, God forbid, projectile vomiting. It happens. It was all around the house this weekend, but we will be back with our next episode, and we do have a wrestling road trip story to tell you guys all about. We also have some updates to let you guys know about around the minor leagues from A-ball all the way up to AAA. Also, the way we've been doing it is pretty cool because we do our top 10 players at each level of the organization, and then that helps us kind of bounce around to each league. If you haven't subscribed, go ahead and check it out. It's on our website, TexasRangersWithTheBoys.com.
Oh,
one word. Or you can go onto our website, onto our Spotify page, and it's just $1.99 a month. You can make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers, organization-wide. So go on, fun. I promise we will have an episode. Hopefully we'll get that next episode out to you guys as of tomorrow when we have a day off. So anyways, there it is. So I guess we've got maybe some last bits of takeaways from that 17 game no days off hashtag no days off series, and then big upcoming. I think the next 5 games for the Rangers are kind of big. I mean, you got 3 games against Seattle, who's right on your heels in the division. You win a series there, you basically control your own destiny. And then you got Cincinnati over the weekend, which may be a little bit of a revenge series from last year when Cincinnati kind of caught us off guard, and they were a heck of a team last year. So this is going to be a fun 6 games for the Rangers to come home to. And then again, like you were saying off air, we've got a 9-game home stretch for the Rangers. So coming home, man, it would be great if we could all go out and give the Rangers some love. We will be out there for the Corey Seager ring thing on the 14th. We know we're going to that one, but might have to finagle a way to go check them out over the weekend against Cincinnati as well. But again, Rangers got a big home stretch coming up. Like I said, they could control a little bit of their own division destiny with this upcoming series against Seattle.
Yeah, well, they're gonna play the team right on their heels in the AL West, but mostly a team that they need to beat for down the road. I mean, these are games that they need to win for in the future. I mean, not that I put a ton of stock into what happens in April, but when you're playing division rivals at home, you'd like to take 2 or 3 here. Cincinnati behind that. Cincinnati's a good young team. They're gonna give the Rangers fits all weekend long, and then they finish that out with Washington. Washington was a team that just took 2 or 3 from the Astros. So better, improved Washington team that you'll get here at home to open May, to end April and to open May. So before you go back out on the road, and then they've got another 10-game road stand or road trip that will take us into the middle of May. So the Rangers, it's very important, I think, while they've got these 9 games at home, they need to take advantage of them, and they need to win some games, and they need to, take advantage of that home cooking right now, and have a really nice home stand. Hopefully, 6-3, 7-2, something like that, where they can start putting some, some different distance in between them and 500. But I mean, that doesn't always happen. And I mean, this thing could be a 5-4, 4-5 type of road trip too, or homestand too. But you don't want that. You're hoping that this is one of those ones where they can kind of start putting some distance, especially with them playing teams like Seattle that are right there in the division, right there, nipping on the heels, and one of those teams that you're looking at that could take off any second too. because they've got such a good rotation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think what's really encouraging is like that home crowd now in Texas has, what used to be just one section has kind of bled over into a big portion of the stadium, and, the Seager MVP chants throughout the stadium, and just getting a little rowdy in Arlington now. And I'm loving that. And, give our world champs a nice welcome back home. And I think, like you were saying, getting a nice home stretch, that would be, winning a
Yeah.
couple series over winning these next two series could be a huge kind
And
of.
when you're kind of looking at 10-game chunks of the season, and you got that 10-game road trip to come home on that thing 5-5, especially losing two or three to Houston to start it out. Then you can go back to Detroit. They beat a pretty good Detroit team 3 out of 4 in their home stadium, and then collecting one there at the end to make sure that it was a 500 road trip. It was I thought that was a big win on Sunday night, and there's more of those big wins to have this week with Seattle.
Yeah, I didn't get to really bring that up because I wasn't here yesterday, but man, that win to end out the 17 gamer was really gutsy by the Rangers. You really could tell they dug pretty deep in that. And I really thought I was really excited after that win. It felt kind of silly because it's so early in the season and so much can still happen between now and the end of the season. But we had kind of checked. I had hopes. My expectations against Atlanta was like, man, if we can get one at Atlanta, that gives us the 9-8, 9-8 record. I think that was the final record, or was it 8-9? 8-9. So we finished under 500 on that 17 gamer, but it would have it would have been nice to get one more out there somewhere. But either way, getting that last one against Atlanta to kind of come home on a victory, I'll take it. At Atlanta, which is a really good team, getting one on the road at Atlanta is nothing to hang your hat on. So.
Yeah, and they were in all of those games. I mean, even the first one they got away from them with the grand slam from d'Arnaud. I mean, they were in those games. They got good pitching from their starting pitching. And that's been really important, because I think what the biggest factor going into this season was always the all-off season. We talked about it was, are they going to have enough starting pitching? And so far, the starting pitching has not been the problem at all.
No, it really hasn't.
Every outing, I mean, Friday, Heaney was not bad at all on Friday. He got you 5 innings. He got, inside of 3 runs. When he left, you were right in that ball game. Eovaldi, the same thing. I mean, Saturday night, he gave you, a little bit of length when he didn't have good stuff at all. And then Sunday, I mean, I thought Lorenzen, outside of that 2-0 hanger that he threw to Marcell Ozuna, Lorenzen was really good. Now you're going to get to come around. You'll see Dunning again on Tuesday. He's going to be opposed by Logan Gilbert. Gilbert's 1-0, 2.33 ERA. He's got like 29 strikeouts in three games or 4 games now, something like that. We're going to see all of Seattle's good too, outside of they're all good. What can I say? Yeah, and then Wednesday you're going to see Bryce Miller. He's going to go up against John Gray. So for anybody that was wondering on whether the Rangers would throw John Gray, even after throwing him in the bullpen, there was never any question to me. I heard Bochy on Saturday afternoon saying that he was going to get creative with his bullpen. The moment I saw John Gray come in, I was like, oh, that's what he meant when he said he was going to get creative with his bullpen. He just, used those. Why waste that bullpen whenever you can get 5 or 6 outs with it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it worked out, don't you think?
Yeah. And John Gray's been pretty good. He had those first 2 starts that were not very good at all. But ever since then, I thought, that game against the A's, he gave up a solo home run, and that was the difference in the game. They got beat 1-0. That next time out, he was pretty good against Detroit. And then we'll see what he's got against Seattle here. But I thought overall, John Gray, he's been pretty good. After that first couple of starts that weren't very good, he's been quite a bit better. And then his stuff out of the bullpen, it really plays. I mean, I think that the Rangers are going to definitely be a better team if John Gray is one of the bullpen hands late in the season.
Yeah, man. I think the versatility too of the arms that the Rangers have is another kind of underplayed thing, because they have guys that can go out and do they can do bullpen work, but they also have, when you think about guys like Urena and Bradford and Heaney and we just talked John Gray, like a lot of these guys are all good when they switch, they can all switch. Dunning, they've all shown the capacity to switch gears. Even Lorenzen, which, obviously that's not what we brought him here for, but they have a really versatile set of guys in that pitching staff that can do a lot of different things. So I like it.
Yeah, a couple of 7:05 starts today and tomorrow. Both Valley Sports. If you're not local there is no national for these two games. I don't think we'll know more about Thursday. It's just going to be at Bally's as well, but Thursday's an afternoon game, but we'll talk about that when we come back Thursday morning and get y'all set up for Thursday with Luis Castillo and Andrew Heaney. But we'll talk about that with a couple of box scores on Thursday morning.
Sweet. Well, I got nothing if you got nothing.
No, I got nothing, man. We're just welcome home, Rangers. Let's get take advantage of this day off you had yesterday, and let's see if they can come out and get to Logan Gilbert. And golly, that Mariners, they're going to see them all too. They're going to see 3 of those 5 guys that are just, man, they're really good up there in Seattle. But they're get toable.
Yeah, you're going to have to beat them if you're going to win. If you're going to win the division, you're going to have to beat those guys. So let's go ahead and get it started. Well, thanks everybody for tuning in. Texas Rangers with the boys. Don't forget to check us out on social media, TX Rangers WTV. Also, don't forget to check out our website and our TikTok, Texas Rangers with the boys.
All one word?
Yep, and it's .com for the website. I'm trying to figure that thing out. You can also check out our exclusive content down on the farm with the boys, where we cover all things Rangers minor league, just $1.99 a month. Make us your one-stop shop for all things Rangers. Also, we didn't bring it up. I'm so not used to it. I gotta bring it up. Don't forget to check us out at Chilltown Hoops on YouTube, the CTH network, which is where you can check us out on video. So again, if you want to see, Bull's pretty face in my cool new Rangers City Connect hat, go check us out on the CTH network. And again, big shout out to them for, getting us out of our comfort zone and getting our faces on camera. That's not out of our comfort zone, but doing it on here, it's been something new and a lot of fun. So for the 300-pound manimal, for the little manimal who made a quick guest appearance, this is your boy Kev. We are Texas Rangers with the boys. We are signing out.